Today is Good Friday. This is a solemn day in the church. It's a day of great sadness, as we'll see. Today we have 4 stories. The first story comes from Matthew chapter 26, verses 47 to 56, and it's called Jesus is Arrested. Jesus heard them coming. The disciples heard them too. The soldiers were marching into the garden. Leading them was Judas. The rulers had paid Judas some money. "Help us to catch Jesus," they said. "We must do it when there aren't many people around. His friends might try to stop us." "I know a quiet garden where Jesus and his friends go at night," said Judas. "I will lead the soldiers there. It will be dark and hard to see. I will go and kiss Jesus so the soldiers know who to catch." "Who are you looking for?" Jesus called to the soldiers. "If you're looking for me, then let my friends go." Judas came right up to Jesus. "Hello, teacher," he said, and he gave Jesus a kiss. "Judas," said Jesus, "you helped the soldiers catch me by giving me a kiss?" Then the soldiers grabbed Jesus. Peter had a sword and he wanted to fight the soldiers. But Jesus said, "No, Peter, put your sword away. People who kill will be killed themselves. This terrible thing has to happen." Then Jesus said to the soldiers, "I was in the temple every day. Why didn't you come and get me there? I don't have any army. I don't even have a sword. Why do you come with all these swords and clubs?" The soldiers didn't say anything. Judas didn't say anything. They just tied Jesus' hands behind him and took him away. All the disciples ran away, even Peter. And the next story comes from Matthew chapter 26, verse 58 and 69 through 75. The story is called "I Don't Know Him." Peter ran away when they arrested Jesus, but then Peter turned around and started following. Peter felt afraid and brave at the same time. "I will find a way to save Jesus from the soldiers," he thought. But he was afraid to try anything. The soldiers took Jesus into a palace. There they yelled at him and hit him and asked him questions. Outside of the palace, some people had a campfire. It was very late at night and Peter was very cold. He went to the fire to get warm. A girl looked at Peter. "Aren't you one of Jesus' friends?" she asked. I don't know what you're talking about," said Peter, and he turned his back to the girl. Then another one of the people looked at Peter. "Hey, you were with Jesus." "I don't know him," shouted Peter. It was very cold. Peter could see a little bit of light in the sky. It would soon be morning. The people standing around the fire could see each other better. Some of them were looking at Peter. "Sure is cold out here," said Peter. He was trying to be friendly. "You talk just like Jesus talks," said one of them. "You must be one of his friends." "I am not," Peter screamed. "I don't know him. I've never heard of him. I'm not his friend." Just then Peter heard the rooster crow. Peter remembered. Peter remembered that Jesus had said, "Before the rooster crows in the morning, you will say, 'I don't know him,' 3 times, Jesus knew that Peter would be afraid. Peter walked away from the campfire. He felt cold inside. Peter began to cry. The next story comes from Matthew chapter 27, verse 2 and verses 11 through 26. Jesus must be killed. The Pharisees and the other rulers had arrested Jesus. They wanted to kill him. They took Jesus to the man who was in charge of the whole country. His name was Pilate. He was from another country called Rome. Only Pilate could have people killed. "Why do you want me to kill Jesus?" Pilate asked. "Because Jesus says he is the Messiah," said the rulers. "A Messiah is like a king. If Jesus is a king, then we should obey him instead of you." Pilate decided to talk to Jesus himself. "Are you a king?" he asked. "Why do you ask that?" said Jesus. "Did those other rulers tell you I was a king?" "Well, are you?" Pilate asked. "In a way, I am a king," said Jesus, "but I'm not the kind of king who wants to be powerful. I'm not the kind of king who has an army." "Then how are you a king?" asked Pilate. "I've come to show people how to live in God's way. That's why I was born. I want people to know what is true and what is good. Those who want to know what is true, listen to me. They will not always obey you and the other rulers." Pilate thought about it for a long time. He thought about what Jesus had said. Then Pilate went back to the rulers. "I don't think he's done anything so bad that we need to kill him." "No, no," cried the rulers. "Jesus must be killed." The rulers had gone all around Jerusalem and brought crowds to Pilate's palace. And some of the people had watched Jesus ride into Jerusalem on a donkey. They had shouted, "Hosanna!" Now the rulers wanted the crowd to help get Jesus killed. So when Pilate came to the door of his palace, they all yelled, "Kill him! Kill him! Kill him!" "But why?" said Pilate. The crowd just kept yelling, "Kill him! Kill him! Kill him!" Pilate thought, maybe if I punish Jesus, that will make the crowd and the rulers happy. So Pilate told the soldiers to hit Jesus. The soldiers hit Jesus with sticks until he was bleeding. They teased him and dressed him up like a king. They put a crown on Jesus' head. It was a crown made of thorns that hurt his head. Then the soldiers laughed at Jesus. "Look at our wonderful king," they yelled. Pilate told the crowd and the rulers what he had done, but they still kept yelling, "Kill him! Kill him! Kill him!" So Pilate went to talk to Jesus again. "Who are you really? Don't you know that I have the power to kill you?" "You have no power except the power that God has given you," said Jesus. Pilate shook his head. He was afraid of all those people. So he said to the rulers, "Here is your king. Do what you want with him. Kill Jesus if you want." Then Pilate took a basin of water. He washed his hands so that everyone could see what he was doing. "Look," Pilate yelled, "my hands are clean. It is not my fault that Jesus is going to die." And then a story from Matthew chapter 27, verses 31 through 56. Jesus is killed. The soldiers teased Jesus. They beat Jesus. Then the rulers of Jerusalem said to the soldiers, "Take him out and kill him." The soldiers had a cross. The cross was made of two very heavy pieces of wood. It was a very cruel way to kill people. To make it even worse, the soldiers said to Jesus, "You carry the cross." After the terrible beating, Jesus could hardly walk. He couldn't carry the heavy cross. The soldiers grabbed a man called Simon of Cyrene and made him help. Simon had to carry the cross all the way to the garbage dump, a place called Golgotha. The soldiers often took people to Golgotha to kill them. The soldiers laid the cross on the ground. They took a big hammer and they nailed Jesus to the cross. Then the soldiers raised it up. Jesus hung there by the nails through his hands and his feet. It hurt terribly. Jesus looked at the soldiers who were doing this awful thing. Jesus thought about Pilate and the other rulers who made it happen. "Father," Jesus prayed to God, "forgive them. They don't understand what a terrible thing they are doing." The soldiers and the people walked by and they began teasing Jesus again. "Hey you," they yelled. "If you're the Messiah, save yourself." "Yeah," called another. "If you are really God's chosen one, come down off the cross." Jesus didn't say anything, but he looked down from the cross and he saw his mother, Mary. She was crying. One of the disciples was standing nearby. "Please take care of my mother," Jesus said to the disciple. It seemed like such a long time that Jesus hung there on the cross. The pain got worse and worse. "My God," Jesus screamed, "my God, why have you left me alone?" And then after a while, when only those standing very close could hear him, Jesus said, "Father, I am ready to die. I put my spirit into your hands." And Jesus died. There are no stories for Saturday, but come back on Sunday and let's find out what happened next.